Welcome back. As an extension from asking a better question video, which really was well received, and thanks everybody for all the comments on that. It was just, I was again very humbled by how well that was received. I want to talk about that just a little bit further for a minute or so. And there again, if you like what you're hearing, please subscribe. Subscription is free, right? Get all your friends to subscribe, because the more people that we get on, the more I'll do this and the more information that I'll give back. So if you like what you hear and you see, let your friends know. And thanks very much for listening and watching still. In addition, as I said, in relation to asking a better question, what I do is before every meeting, I write down a list of possible questions. Because if you write things down, you tend to, as a rule, remember them better and call them in when you need them. And I might not necessarily ask all the questions that I've written down, but I take 5 minutes to think. And one of the things that I've learnt from Anthony Robbins over the years, when I saw him about 20, 25 years ago, he said something that has resonated with me still every day, and that is this, is the best thing that you can do for your business is spend time thinking about it. Properly thinking about where you want to be, where you want to go, and how you need to get there, and who you need to involve in getting there. Think about your business. So when we're talking about asking a better question, what I do is before every meeting, I will sit down and write a whole list of questions out. And as I just said, I won't necessarily use them all. But if you write things down, physically write them down, because we're now in a society that tends to use the iPhone and the iPad, etc. But going back to basics, for the want of a better term, physically writing something down stays in here. So the first thing that I do is I write down my questions before each meeting. I write down my questions. So therefore, and then I'm prepared and alert. And if my questions are being answered through the course of a meeting, what happens is they just go into abeyance. They just get left. So therefore, a lot of things will be answered well before they're asked, which is great. And that means that the person you're dealing with is able to answer your questions before they become an objection, which shows that they're on their game. The second thing is that by writing down your questions, there's something else that happens. You become more aware of your focus. Because there's no point having a meeting unless you have a desired outcome. Meeting for meeting's sake is maybe 5% of the time. You might just be meeting someone to see whether you might do some business with them in the future, see whether there's any cohesive qualities between the two businesses, etc., whatever it might be. But in reality, you need to be aware of where the meeting needs to end. So the meeting needs to have a goal-orientated focus from those of you that are calling the meeting. You need an outcome. What is the desired outcome of that meeting? Third, at the end of the meeting, if you haven't got to where you need to be, before the meeting closes and the minutes have been taken up, etc., you need to review your questions. Review the questions that you had, and then cover them quickly in the very last moments of the meeting to make sure that they're answered. Because there is nothing worse than wasting all that time and not getting the questions that you've prepped answered, because you won't get to your outcome. So what I always do is at the end of every meeting, I just quickly, as the meeting's coming to an end, I generally review all the questions that I had in my mind to make sure that I've covered them all. Because remembering, the most important thing that you have every day to share is your time. So make sure you utilise it right.